Welcome back. The leaked Pentagon documents revealing China is developing cyber weapons to hijack enemy satellites and weaken communications during wartime. Joining me right now is SpiderOak executive chairman and York Space Systems executive chairman Charles Beams. Charles, great to have you this morning. Thanks very much. I want to ask you about this story because SpiderOak develops solutions and security tools to protect civil, military, and commercial space operations. What do you make of this report now of what China is doing in terms of intercepting some of that and what that means for national security in the U.S.?
Hi, Maria. Thanks for having me on. I'll tell you, it should come as no surprise to anyone. In fact, frankly, I didn't read the leaked reports, but I have read all the media reporting around it, and none of it should be a surprise. Those of us in the national security arena have known for a long time that this is an issue. It's a huge issue, and frankly, the best I can make of it is to suggest that why aren't we going faster? That's number one, and number two. Why are all these things still so classified? I think the American people, I think Congress, everybody ought to be more aware of this threat that is upon us, and not just militarily.
Right, and we learned a lot from those Pentagon leaks, and among them was that Taiwan is not ready. Should China go in there? What do you see as the biggest threats right now in terms of U.S. national security?
By far, we are completely dependent upon space systems for our warfighting capability and, frankly, everything for everyday life. And it's no longer about rocket science. It's data science. And data science means it's done in software, and we need to move out quickly. We need to leverage the commercial marketplace of cybersecurity tools. Obviously, SpiderOak, in my opinion, has got the best solution, but there's many others out there. But we need to move out. The problem, the thing that's scary is it's not the political leadership, and it's not the soldiers in the field that are getting in the way. It's the middle sort of middleocracy. We used to joke about it when I was active duty. The people that are sort of preventing a lot of these solutions to protect Americans.
Well, what about the fact that there's a story in the Journal this morning about how the whole world is increasing their spending on military right now because of the adversarial threats that are out there, like China, like Russia, but the U.S. is not. We're looking at a 3% increase, which, of course, is a decline when measured against inflation.
Well, that's a scary thing, and a lot of the military spending, of course, in our country especially, it's very political, right? So it's not. It doesn't even anymore. It doesn't even. When I say political, I don't even necessarily mean it falls along partisan lines. It's just some people are just more proponents of more defense spending, others are not. The tragedy in my mind is that actually the solutions already exist. What we need to do is just actually do them because there's software. I can give you an example. Right now, it's an acknowledged thing that our GPS system, which everybody relies on, soldiers in the field and those of us just trying to drive to work in the morning, it's very vulnerable to cyber attack and would render the entire country sort of motionless and transactionless if it were attacked. That can be solved with some simple software solutions that are available off the shelf, but we don't do it because the sort of a lot of the defense spending ends up going to the large traditional defense primes, which I'm not saying isn't important, but the solutions for cybersecurity are not going to come from the traditional. They're going to come from the communities that are largely on the West Coast and are involved in what's basically called the tech industry. And SpiderOak is proud to be a part of that and ready to serve.
Well, I want to play you a soundbite from Michael McCall, who joined me on Sunday Morning Futures last week, and he's talking about Taiwan being able to get the eyes and the ears on the ground from this Starlink program. Every time we talk about the fact that Taiwan has already paid for all of these weapons from the United States, but they haven't gotten them yet, we keep hearing that the defense manufacturers cannot manufacture this stuff fast enough. Here's Michael McCall from Sunday on what Taiwan needs right now and what he's trying to get them. Watch.
You and I talked about ISR, that's intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. China has eyes and ears on the ground everywhere in the Pacific region. We have some, but Taiwan has none. And we talked about the idea, like we did in Ukraine, putting up a Starlink satellite system to give Taiwan eyes and ears on the ground to see into China, to see the threat before it comes so they can stop it from invading the island.
So McCall is working on that as chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee in the House. Charles, how should the United States respond to this threat? And why is it that we hear the manufacturer of these weapons can't make the weapons fast enough?
Well, I think, Maria, we as a country, we took a holiday in manufacturing munitions, weapons systems, and stuff like that. And the global war on terrorism required a different types of expertise and spending, and we kind of took a holiday from the other, the basic war-making thing, and that's the situation we're in. You know, we talk about Starlink, we talk about that's obviously Elon Musk's capability. That's really a I don't mean to correct the congressman, but that's really a communication system, an important one, but it's commercial. Were it not for that, there would be no capability even available. Were it not for these commercial things, because our defense industry has largely been out of the picture for a lot of this, the capabilities that are needed today, and we have to go faster. The chief of space operations, General Saltzman, talked about the fact just last week out in Colorado that in his judgment the acquisition committee is not moving quickly enough. And the only way to move fast is to kind of get rid of a lot of the people that just want to study and analyze these things and get on with deploying a lot of these capabilities, including SpiderOaks.
Yeah, well, that's disturbing. Charles, thank you. We will keep watching that. Charles Beams joining us this morning on the cyber threats out there.